thinner. So these optic tumblers typically are quite thin, so they're nice and light, they have a great feel to them. A lot of times, I don't know about Chris, but a lot of times working with designers, then when they ask you to make something thick, it's hard because you've trained yourself to make things thinner and thinner. So there, can you see what happened to our tumbler? This is why we don't just sit out the glass when we're done with it. We don't just allow it to cool in the air because it will break. And it broke in a way kind of like we should expect it to. Remember I set up that bubble at the beginning with a thicker bottom. That thicker bottom broke away from the thinner sides. So it's kind of telltale as to what's happening within the material. So you can see that colored glass on the inside there. I've just cased it in clear glass. I had to allow the core bubble to cool down a little bit so it had the structure to gather on top of. If I had gone in there with that core bubble too hot, it would have collapsed and it might even have melted back into the furnace. We don't really want that to happen. So I had to let that cool down. What I'm doing right now is just allowing the heat from that second gather of glass to soak in and reheat the core. I want the glass to be hot and evenly hot as I proceed here. So even though I was just standing there talking, I'm really allowing the heat of the material to soak into the core. It'll help me be more successful in the end. I actually had the great privilege of making glass with Massimo a couple of years ago, and obviously Massimo is Italian. He worked